the obligations of the Glendale Redevelopment Agency. One of the final ones is what you see primarily characterizing this ROPS, the Recognized Obligation Payment Schedule, is or has to do with the GC3 agreement, the DDA that we have with the Disney company for the ongoing build-out and revenue sharing related to that campus's ongoing development. Pursuant to the terms of that deal that Mr. Lanzafame can answer any questions that you may have, pursuant to that deal, to the extent that Disney continues to build out according to the original DDA, the DDA as it's been amended from time to time, the city would set aside an amount of money to pay for infrastructure, to offset infrastructure costs that would facilitate the development, thereby, one, eliminating blight, and two, creating new investment and new jobs in this overall corridor. To the extent that the money gets set aside pursuant to the terms of the DDA, but ultimately not used, it would sit, as it does today, in an account waiting to be drawn down for purposes as contemplated in the DDA. If and when it comes to a head that the schedule of development will not be realized or could not be realized, those monies that remain sitting in the city's treasury would ultimately be disseminated to the taxing entities according to their percentages between the city, the school district, GCC, the county, and so on. So if you have any specific questions about the ROPS or about the GC3 DDA, certainly Mr. Lanzafame or his team can answer those for you. But as I say, this will probably be the second to last, Phil, maybe the third to last successor agency meeting that we have.
Yes, we certainly are. In fact, this item before you is to correct a mistake that we found in preparing for what we call last and final ROPS. That's where we send a schedule to the Department of Finance and says, this is a schedule that will forever go forward. What we found in the Disney agreement, as Mr. Ochoa had mentioned, we're supposed to set aside a certain amount. In the original agreement, you first deducted your housing set aside. And that's why one of the reasons why it's appropriate that you as the Housing Authority are here too. It would set aside that first, and then you would take the percentage. When it was eliminated, when redevelopment was eliminated, there was no longer a set aside. But all of the calculations that we had, they were setting aside 20%. So in preparing this final schedule, we realized that we should have actually been setting aside more going back to 2012. So this catches us up and makes us current into today's schedule. And we're going to put it on that ROPS now.
Councilmember Devine.
Is this going to impact our general fund at all, or where does this funding, I know?
No, it wouldn't. We're going to be asking for more property tax. Some of that would have gone to the city, but it is really an adjustment of dollars that we have already received. In other words, we should have taken this off years ago and not received the increment back then. So it really is a true up. It will be, it's about $450,000 that would have been the city's share of this. But again, that has been realized in the years that we weren't setting this aside.
More questions, Mr. Devine?
I just in general, I just want to say, and I think all my colleagues became elected post redevelopment dissolution. But what a great thing redevelopment was for this city and many cities across California, wherein, as you mentioned, the set aside, there's a low income set aside that we were able to fund many projects with. We were able to offer incentives to businesses to locate in Glendale, to help in the build out, to help in the facades, to help in land acquisition. It really was such a great tool that we had and were able to use in Glendale for decades. And it's, I'm not sure if it's time for the eulogy yet. The patient has been in a coma for several years now, but the patient being the redevelopment, it's really sad to see it go. It was a great opportunity it gave great opportunities to us and many cities to make the urban area a much better place to live, to shop, and to play.
I couldn't agree with you more. And Glendale had a robust program that was used responsibly, and so it really does hurt. Kudos to you because you were there. But I really think that this council, and I'm not just saying it because we've continued to be successful, this council has made that transition from redevelopment. The one place that really hurts is, as you first mentioned, the affordable housing, the 20% set aside. Fingers are crossed. There's a couple of bills being contemplated right now in Sacramento that might restore some of that funding, but it would only be a small percentage.
Okay, thank you. Is this a
I'll move the item. Action item.
Second?
roll call, please?
Council members Agajanian,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Najarian,
Yes.
Sinanian, Mayor Garpetian.
Yes. I think we have no more items on the
Move to
agenda.
adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second?
Roll call, please.
No roll call
No roll
required
call.
for
I knew that. I was just
adjournment.
testing.
We can if you wish. It's not